Hey, this is Joe Hubbard from JoeHubbardBassVideos.com coming at you today with another lesson. And this particular lesson is playing up and down on a single string. So with that in mind, grab your bass and let's get started. An important expansion to learning the notes on the fingerboard, as I've taught in the past with the random note finder exercise, is to start creating a context by learning the notes on your fretboard in relation to all the major keys. The way to do this properly is to start off by learning to play all of your major scales on a single string, making sure to always start on the lowest diatonic note and then ascend to the highest note on each successive string. A great way to implement this is by creating a drone with the root note of the scale and then playing up and down a single string using your ears to execute the scale properly. This is a great way to learn the notes on your fingerboard in context to a major tonal sound, while at the same time breaking bad habits of learning to play by fretboard patterns alone. Okay, so let's start this off by playing this exercise in the key of C major. And what we're going to do is play the C major scale on every string, ascending and descending, always starting at our lowest note and then going to our highest note. Starting with C is a good idea because all of the notes in the C major scale are natural. As you start to add the different keys, you're going to need to know the names of the notes within the keys. So if you're a little bit shaky on that theory, then download the PDF document attached to this lesson and that'll help you out a bit. So if I start off by playing the C major scale on my G string, starting at the lowest point and going to the highest point, this is what I've got. Now a good tip is to create a C drone. So I just want to play that C and get it into my head. And also name all the notes. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then go back down always, but keep that drone in your head. So when we then go to the D string, we're going to start on our open D. I'm going to go up. I've got that in my head, that C is droning in my head, so I can hear that as a root note for what I'm playing. So it gives me the sound of the key that I'm in. So I go here and I start this. That drone go to my head. Do. I could even sing it. Do. And that's a good thing to have going on because it keeps that drone going on so you can hear the root of the key center. And what's great about this exercise is it's an ear training. I want you to use this as an ear training exercise as well so you can hear if you're going off course with these actual notes. So if you hit a wrong note, you want to, once you get that sound of that key center in your head, you want to know if you're hitting any wrong notes. So if I start on the A string, then I get the C drone going, start on my A string. And then you start on the E string, again, drone that out. Then I start on the B string, keeping that drone going on again. And then the whole thing with this, when you get to the very high register, because I find that very hard to play right up on the 24th fret of my B string, I'm probably really not going to do that in a performance situation. And remember that this is not a technical exercise really in regard to developing the instrument. It is more of an understanding of what are the notes on your fingerboard and where they lie and where they fall. Some of them are not going to be applicable as much as others for performance, like these very high registers up here on the low strings on a lot of basses are very hard to get to, but I still want you to know them and I want you to put it together across your entire fretboard. Remember, everyone's bass is different. Some people play 19 fret instruments, some people have 20 fret instruments, some people have 24 like me, some people have 4 strings, some people have 5 strings, some people play 6 strings. So if we move on to do the next key, we're going to take the key of G. And the key of G, if I start on the G string, is quite straightforward in that it starts on the root, okay? So I'm starting on the root, I'm coming up the scale, okay, now I really wanted to get that G in my head for that drone so I can hear that. I then want to go to the D string and play the same thing. Note that the only difference between the key of C and the key of G is the key of G has an F sharp. So remember some of the theory points on scales is that the scales always follow the order of the alphabet from A to G. And then it repeats itself again. And, you know, it's very important to understand that. So you look at the PDF document so you can sort out any real little theory problems that might come up. So if we go to the D string, we play the same thing. We've got the G going on in our head. It starts on D. I've got the F sharp to the G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, and then the D. I go down to the A string, keeping it in my head. And again, you go ahead and name those notes as you play these. And then I go to my E string. And then I go to my B string. And that helps you to kind of hear and see the relationships of these notes on every string. Now, here's the thing that a lot of guys, I see a lot of guys talking about playing, you know, scales on a single string. But, you know, there's a lot of guys that are sort of espousing that you just play the root position scales on a single string. So let's say I have the key of C and I start it here. And then I play that back down. And then I start it here on this string. And then again here on this string. But that gives you nowhere near the amount of information that you really want to learn by doing this always at the lowest point of the string and then moving up to the highest. Another thing that comes up a lot is people go, oh, you're doing the modes then if you're not starting on the root. No, we're just doing the key that we're in. So we're thinking, if I'm doing it in the key of C, I'm thinking about the key of C. And if I start on my G string, that started the scale on the 5th. So now that goes 5, 6, 7, root. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root, 2, 3, 4, 5. So another question that comes up is playing positionally versus playing on a single string. Well, the thing is that if you've learned everything on a single string, once you start to put this together in a positional format, you've really already learned it because you've learned segments of this position by learning it separately on each string. I'll give you an example. Key of C positionally here is this. A lot of people again will say, oh, you started on the 5th, so that's the Mixolydian mode. No, it's a C major scale starting on the 5. That's the way I'm thinking about this. So the idea is that if I already have learned this on the B string, then this on the E string, then this pattern on the A string, this pattern on my D string, and this pattern on my G string, then I've already learned that position. And once I start to put it into more positional framework, it comes much quicker. So if you think about it, you have this horizontal aspect and you have this vertical aspect of your instrument and everything in between. And this is what you want to get together. So get this down to where you're learning the C major scale, go straight to learning the G, because I went through all that with you. Get out the PDF document and then slowly start to work your way through every different key. Remember, the value of this exercise is that we're not just learning random relationships of notes, we're learning it in the context of a key center. And this is very cool. So get this together, come back, and we'll do an after-action review. Some people would question why you would even want to learn to play on a single string. After all, this isn't how we're going to perform in the long run. But the answer lies in what you can learn about your fingerboard, the relationship and the organization of the notes, and developing the horizontal fluency on your instrument, not to mention the great ear training benefits that you can get from this exercise. So until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.